Is your body screaming at you for a different kind of healing experience? I am going to share with you today what exactly somatic therapies are. So, these are body based therapies, which incidentally, the primary type of healing modalities that I work with in my private practice. So, what are body based therapies? What are somatic therapies? Why do I love them so much? What is the relationship between our thoughts, our nervous system, our immune system? Let's chat about that. Let's chat about how you could potentially move forward if you are feeling stagnant in your healing journey. If you are feeling stagnant in your business and you know that the growth work and the healing work needs to be done internally because you are not operating from an identity of who you need to be bringing in the things in your world that you want to be bringing in. When we are going down different pathways of healing, when we have been on a continual growth journey, if you are an entrepreneur, it is one big personal development. It is just like one big journey of personal development. There is going to come a time where you do start to feel stagnant. Like maybe you've been self helping and you have pushed yourself or gotten yourself as far as you possibly can. Or maybe you've been engaging in traditional types of therapies and you've been doing talk therapy for years and implementing the same strategies and things for years, and you feel like you've just become stagnant. And that is something that I hear a lot from clients who come to work with me, particularly one on one, because they have been experiencing the same therapies for a long time. And that's not to say that they haven't had profound results from them, but they're ready for their next layer, their deeper layer. And that next deeper layer for these women is getting into their body and starting to actually live outside of their head. Because when we are living predominantly in our head all of the time, then we are going into autopilot. We are taking ourselves, we're getting lost in our thoughts, and we are no longer in the moment, feeling our way through things, connecting with our intuitive side, making decisions from our human design perspective. When we are in our head and everything is just thought based, it just we get to a point in my experience, but also in the experience of my clients, where we need that next layer. Let's chat in this episode all about somatic therapies, energy work, and how you might be ready. Your body might actually be screaming at you for a different kind of experience. So if you are currently feeling like you are stagnant in your journey, like you are just still so disconnected from yourself, like even though maybe you've done all of this work, you are still lacking coping tools to actually utilize in your day-to-day challenges that work, that are effective, that feel good for your body. Even though you might be able to interrupt your thought patterns, your body still feels like it is on this hypervigilant state. Maybe you're anxious all the time still. Maybe you are making fear-based or emotion-based decisions in your business. Maybe you're not making decisions in your business because of that. Maybe you're always foggy. Maybe your mood is up and down. Maybe you feel like you are always in your head and your head is loud and it feels hard to switch off, and your behaviors are on autopilot and they're not serving you. Or maybe it's going even deeper into your body and you are continually noticing that you are unwell, you're run down, you have pain that can't be explained. Maybe your sleep is impacted, your mood, your hormones. Maybe you're at burnout. Maybe it's just this chronic, not just, but maybe it's chronic fatigue. If you are experiencing these things in your body, then your body is screaming at you to be heard. There are things surfacing for you that you need to deal with. And if they are trying to get your attention, then they are ready. You are ready. to deal with these things. And what we often do is we start trying to think it through, because that's what our logical brain is there for, right? To think it through. What could be happening with me? Oh, okay, I've been eating this, and so maybe that's been making me feel funny, and so I'll just go and get my stomach checked out. I'll just go and get my left elbow checked out. But we're not taking into account the chronic state of hypervigilance, the fight or flight, the trauma response that we've been living in for the last 10 years. We're not taking into account the chronic stress that could be impacting your digestive system. We're not taking into account the emotional events that are stored in your subconscious that haven't actually been processed, but just submerged back down because they felt too uncomfortable to deal with. Or we just keep repeating them and strengthening them because we keep talking about them. We keep just going through that thought pattern of thinking and talking, and they become our story and they become our identity. But we don't realize that memory is actually living somewhere in our body, and that is contributing to the pain that we're experiencing. So we isolate our situations. We think we don't piece together that anxiety or lack of sleep or mood changes and pain and our thoughts could be all linked. We don't piece together that after years of chronic stress or unexplained anxiety, that we suddenly have autoimmune conditions, or we suddenly have these illnesses that seem to have come out of nowhere, or we always feel like we've been hit by a truck. We don't piece them together because we have been taught as a society, as a culture, to deal with them separately. We don't piece it together as a holistic picture. And that is a part of why I love somatic therapies so much. Because whilst I absolutely cannot sit here and promise outcomes, I have witnessed some phenomenal changes in people's health, in their emotional health, their physical health. I have witnessed changes not only in beliefs and in the way that people think and they treat themselves and the way they connect with themselves, but I have literally seen people heal illnesses through the release of emotions and get well and be healthy. So we need to bring our body in to our healing experience. We need to bring our body into our business growth. Go back to the Conscious and Aligned Business series. Starts at episode 84. Your nervous system is the CEO of your business. And if you don't know how to regulate, if you don't know how to work with your emotions, if you don't know how to let yourself feel and heal, it is going to sabotage you. It is going to keep you small because it thinks it's keeping you safe. So let's get into what a different experience with me might look like for you.
You're listening to Alive and Thriving with Jessica Reed, the podcast that's all about empowering you to achieve optimal wellness and success through self-care, holistic practices, and raw conversations. Jessica and her expert guests are here to share powerful insights and strategies to help you overcome stress and anxiety, take charge of your life, and thrive in life and in business. Grab a cuppa and let's dive in.
So for those who have already worked one-on-one with me and are listening today, then you will know that we might spend our first few sessions together literally just helping your nervous system to feel safe. Therapies, somatic therapies, alternative therapies, energy medicine, these are different experiences to what you are used to, particularly if you've been in a talk therapy setting for a long time. Now, I just want to say, full disclaimer, that I love talk therapy. I know that there is so much profound healing that happens in that space, and psychologists, they are absolutely phenomenal. So as I talk through this, I just want you to know that from this perspective, all of these therapies hold their place. But the women that I'm working with in particular have become stagnant in that space. They've taken themselves cognitively as far as they can go, as far as they can go at that point in time. And it's time to start experiencing something different for them. It's time to start releasing things. And what I love, love, love about working with the body is that your body always knows what is ready for you to release and heal, even if you don't think it's relevant, even if you can't see the connection because your logical brain is trying to interfere, which it's designed to do. It's designed to think. So, in our first few sessions together, and this, by the way, is why I no longer take clients as a one off, because in a one off session, we might do some talking. We might get that talking piece over and done with. We'll listen, we'll let you feel heard and validated, get to know you, get to know a bit more about your history, observe what's going on for you, observe what might be going on underneath the surface of your stories. But that's as far as we get in a one off session. You are new to this, you are new to me. Our work is only just beginning, and it takes time for your body to feel safe enough to dive into what it needs to dive into beneath the story that it has been cognitively telling you for so long. Beneath that story is only one portion of your healing experience. So we might spend the first few weeks together just teaching your nervous system that it is actually safe to come out of a chronic state of fight or flight. Because you've probably been living in that space, in that autopilot space of hypervigilance, of stress, of a trauma response for far too long. So what happens is then the state of calm, the state of parasympathetic, it actually becomes a state that doesn't feel normal. And so when we do spend some time in that place, in that relaxed rest and digest nervous system, our nervous system is like, oh, no, I'm not used to this. We're going to go back to chaos. So we need to gradually introduce safety in actually feeling calm. We need to gradually introduce safety in a different experience, an experience that is not just based on our thoughts and not just based on talking. And the other reason that we do this is because for you to feel safe enough to go into the body, for you to feel safe enough to actually deal with the things that need to be dealt with, we need you to not be in a fight or flight response to do this. We can't engage our logical thinking mind the way we'd want to in a fight or flight response. We can't allow ourselves to go deep enough and feel deep enough in that kind of response. So that is why I love getting the body involved in the healing. And that is why when you work with me, that's what you will predominantly experience. Yes, we'll talk. But when we are talking, we are generally tapping at the same time because we're bringing the body into it. We are bringing our energy system into it. If your body is holding on to something that has been associated with being unsafe or have an emotional association that does not feel good for you, for example, and that's where I'm talking about unsafe. So for example, an embarrassment, shame, any kind of fear-based response, any associations that have been made around that, if they are still living in the body, then that emotional response is always going to override because it comes down to safety. It comes down to survival. Okay. So just when we are talking about things that we've experienced, we are primarily engaging the brain. But when we are using somatic therapies, we are diving deep into the body, into the root cause of what is keeping all of this alive for you, into the layer of that is ready to come up at that time. I'm a big believer in layers. Okay. Your brain, your body is going to allow you to go as deep as you are ready to go, which again is why I like to spend chunks of time with people so that we can go deeper, so we can get to root cause. Because once we can get to root cause and we can release it, we can truly actually let it go. Without those subconscious triggers, shouting out that you are unsafe when they are being triggered, we can actually move forward and let things go and heal on a whole different level and a whole different frequency to what we may have been able to do before. So, somatic therapies are primarily focusing on bodily experiences, sensations, movements. It recognizes that the body holds on to stress and trauma and will sometimes even create these as physical symptoms for you. And so instead of just talking, you might be guided on a path to pay attention to sensations. We might use body psychotherapy to actually give these a voice, identify ages where this has been picked up, identify who it actually belongs to if it's not yours. And then we start processing those emotions, processing those memories. And we can do that through hypnotherapy. We can do that through tapping. We can do that with, remember, anything we're doing in the body, we are dealing directly with the subconscious. So we can do that with breath. We can do that with physical movement. The goal is to release and process the emotions through the body. So rather than always, and we observe a lot as well, but rather than always speaking of, we are in it. We are in it and we are feeling it and we are recognizing that. And I think that is where a lot of the clients that I have that primarily come in ready to talk, that's where they're getting a really different experience. Because bit by bit, I will hold a safe space for you to learn that it is safe for you to feel, even if you have never felt like it is safe before. And that in itself is something that is going to be life-changing for you and life-changing for the way that you parent, life-changing for every aspect of your world. To be able to release emotions, to process them, to sit in them when they need to be sat in, rather than suppressing them down, being fearful of them, all that does is cause pain. All that does is cause illness. All that does is cause problems within the body. And all that does is keep you in this perpetual state of fight or flight because your thoughts are then focused in on the physical sensations of discomfort that you don't like. And there come stories with that and memories. Oh, remember that time that I felt like this, then I had a panic attack. And then all of a sudden we're in this state of panic again. The body always knows in a session where it needs to go, always. And I have clients come in or jump on Zoom and they say, "Oh, I've been thinking, I don't really know what's going to come up today. I don't think anything's going to come up. I've been experiencing this problem, but I don't think anything is going to come up from it. I just can't think of the root cause and I can't think of how old I was and I can't think." And this key word here is think. And it's so funny because, particularly if you're new with me, as I said, we will talk at the beginning and maybe even for the first couple of sessions. We'll let the talking out so you can start to feel safe in a new experience. Talking will also give us some valuable information. But more than that, your body language and your cues will give me more valuable information with your story. We might talk at the beginning, but then I start to interrupt. And I do that with love. And I explain this. I'm going to start to interrupt. When we have these stories on repeat, I'm going to interrupt you. You hear me click? I'm interrupting. If I notice a shift in your body language as you're speaking, but you want to keep going on the story, I'm going to circle back to that emotion. And we're going to start to actually identify what's going on in there, where that root cause might have come from. So we will always start our sessions after grounding and checking in. We're checking in with our body. And as I said, I have clients who are like, "I don't think anything's going to come up. I don't know. I can't remember anything." And then we check in with the body and we find a sensation, and that might be in their chest or their throat or their head or a twitch behind their right eye or pain in their left finger, back of their thighs. There's been so many heavy feet. Whatever the sensation is, once we dive deep into that, then it's, oh, this is coming up. Never thought that was relevant. Haven't thought about that for years. Not sure exactly what happened because my logical brain is actually trying to protect me. I know something happened here. I know there was some kind of trauma. I don't have memory of it. Your body does. Your body does. And this is why we need to bypass the thinking brain some of the time. Because yes, we need that. We need to think. Of course we need to think. We're human beings. But if we don't bypass the thinking brain, and the thinking brain is in habitual ways of thinking and coping with this story or this trauma or this experience, and it is thinking about these from the lens and the perspective that you have experienced it, then that's all you are going to be able to do with that. So we need to bypass that thinking brain and get into the body and get into the subconscious. So in a session with me, once we have done this, we will generally then move into tapping, or we'll move into hypnotherapy, or we'll move into other ways of somatically processing. And these are going to look different in every session because it depends what you need. It depends what's coming up. So sometimes we might be doing things like tapping, as I said, body psychotherapy, hypnotherapy. We might do movement. We might do pillow slamming. We might do breathing. We might be using ice packs and lemon wedges and forks. And I know that all sounds so strange, but it is amazing what we can do with our body. And these give big shifts. These are the tools and techniques. And I know you're thinking a fork. You're just gonna have to come. You're just gonna have to come and experience what on earth we do with a fork, right? But energy medicine exercises. There is so many different layers of the body and the energy systems that we work with. Our meridians, our chakras, our radiant circuits, our aura. We work with so many different aspects. And it's basically a toolkit that we can tap into depending on what is coming up for you. And you will leave with these tools, these toolkits that are going to support you moving forward as well. Actual real coping tools that are going to help you. So one of the ways that we create these longer term changes is in the in-between. We use our sessions for the deep healing, for the deep supported work, to feel safe to feel things you haven't been able to feel or haven't allowed yourself to feel for a long time. To release. We use our sessions for that. And then the in-between is for reprogramming. So you've got box support for integration because we need integration time. The body takes time to integrate. And for some people that might be a day, and for some people that might be weeks. And this is again the benefit of longer term healing containers. This is why we don't do one-off sessions anymore. Because if you are ready for that shift, if you are ready for the change, then you are going to get the best of me. You are going to get so much support and as much hand holding as you want or need, and accountability and personalized resources to support what you have experienced and released in your session. And this isn't just for your happiness, this is for your health as well. Psychoneuroimmunology is a study of how our psychological factors like thoughts and stress can influence the nervous system and our immune system. So, for example, chronic stress can weaken the immune system, making a person more susceptible to illnesses. We then look at our neurological responses. So, that's the study of how the brain and the nervous system respond to psychological stimuli. And in turn, that affects the immune system. Neurotransmitters and hormones like cortisol, which is a stress hormone, play a really crucial role in this. Cortisol will have a direct impact on your immune system. And then we look at their immune response. So psychoneuroimmunology investigates how the immune system can be influenced by the nervous system and our mental states. So this looks at how certain immune factors might change in response to our physiological factors. And that impacts our health outcomes. So this isn't just about your thoughts. It's never just about your thoughts. Your thoughts are one aspect. Your thoughts are running from subconscious programming and habitual ways of thinking. Neural pathways that have been formed to make thinking easy for your brain so you don't have to go and relearn everything. Thoughts are one aspect. They are very important, and we work with thoughts as well. As I said, my approach is holistic, but we always start in the body. We always start in the body. And the other thing that I love about somatic therapies is that there are techniques and tools that we can use where you don't even have to speak about your trauma because of the way the body mind works, because of the way these techniques work, because of the way our energy system works. You don't actually have to speak of the trauma. Your body knows what you need to release, and we can work with the body without you even having to retell your stories if you don't want to. I have worked with clients for months where all of the clearing and all of the processing that we did was without them having to tell the stories of their childhood, without them having to revisit that. And we were teaching them tools to cope with the thoughts because your brain is so well aware of what you've been thinking. But every time we speak it, every time we rethink it, every time we share it, we are reinforcing those pathways. Go back and listen to the episode where I talk about why I would never retell a traumatic story or even talk about an argument with my partner without tapping on something to interrupt that pathway. To then say, hey, we don't need to connect this thought and this emotion with anger, fear, resentment, whatever it is, but we can actually connect it with safety and neutralize the emotion behind it. So it is absolutely amazing the things that we can do with our body. Your body knows what you are ready to release. Your body knows what is ready to come up for your next layer. And you know what? I am so here for that. The transformations that I get to sit in and be a part of, the releases, the witnessing of clients letting go of things that they have literally been holding on to that has been keeping them physically unwell, emotionally unstable, mentally overwhelmed and drained for years, sometimes even in most of their life, is just phenomenal. It is so fascinating and so amazing to watch what we can do when we start working with the body, when we start working with the energy system, and when we combine that mind, body, emotions, spiritual, all of it. When we combine your healing as a holistic picture, when we combine your growth as a holistic picture, when we combine your business outcomes and the identity that you need to be to have those outcomes as a holistic picture, the results are absolutely phenomenal. So if this is something that you are ready for, which I think you are if you've listened all the way to the end, then let's do it. I am ready for you. I have capped capacity for one-on-ones in 2024 because I'm being very intentional about where my energy goes. I am holding space for a beautiful mastermind. I'm holding space for a new program, and I'm holding space for a capped amount of one-on-one clients who are ready. I'm going to say that again. If you are ready to create that life that you are excited to get out of bed for, if you are ready to start to reconnect with yourself, to shed this weight of your past, to feel like you again, to feel confident within yourself, to know that things like anxiety are experiences rather than your whole identity, and to step into the identity of the person that you need to be to have the experiences that you want to be having in your world and in your business, that I am ready for you. So let's get to it. Let's just do it. Let's have a 20-minute phone chat. Make sure this is right for you. Make sure that we are a good fit together. And then let's get started. I will link the link to my booking in the show notes. Pop over onto Instagram and let me know, have you had experience with somatic therapies? How have you found them? Maybe you haven't found something that you like yet, and that's okay too. That's what I love about the fact that we have so many different tools in this toolbox over here. So many different ways that we can explore your body and its healing. Oh, I just love it. I absolutely love it so much. There's something about emotional freedom. And what I mean by emotional freedom is not having that conditioned response or that emotional attachment to previous things that have previously kept you stuck, that have kept you scared, that have kept you small, that have kept you anxious, that have kept you unwell. Not having the emotional attachment to these, to me, is emotional freedom. And that's what I believe we can do when we work with the body. We can disconnect the emotional attachments. We can free it. We can get our energy flowing again through our body. Remember, emotions are energy in motion. We can free the stagnant energy. We can impact our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. And it's just so fascinating and such an honor to be a part of.
Wow, what a journey it's been today. We are so grateful for each and every one of you who tuned in to Alive and Thriving. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep growing, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your favourite platform. It's a simple but powerful way to support a small business like ours to continue to make an impact.